I'm sure that everybody who's connected at home right now in some way, shape, or form is familiar with the idea of emotional intelligence. So, what I like to start with is demystifying some of the ideas that we've probably heard about it. So, for example, most of us believe, or some of us might believe, that emotional intelligence is all about just being nice to everybody all the time, sunshine and rainbows. And so I want to dispel that, although there is a key component of emotional intelligence that deals with your ability to be courteous, to be empathetic, to be respectful, to be understanding. There are also many other skills that are involved in EQ that tell a little bit more of a complete picture, and that's some of what we're going to get to today. But more officially, emotional intelligence refers to your ability to recognize and manage your emotions effectively, as well as the emotions of others. Now, if I were to simplify that even more, really what I would say is emotional intelligence is about your ability to be smart about emotions. Your emotions and the emotions of others. If I were to take it even a step beyond that and further simplify it, I would just say, look, emotional intelligence, simply put, are people skills. You're a person, I'm a person. How do we deal with that? How do we engage with one another? How do we build relationships? And so on, and so on, and so on. So the first question that should be coming to your mind on this is, why does this matter? Why is this important? Why is this relevant? Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers now. These are from various studies, science-backed research, and they've been published by both Forbes and Harvard Business Review. So the first one, 90% of top performers are also high in EQ. We have to think about what that means. It means that if you're a high performer, if you know a high performer in your organization, 90% of those people are also high in EQ. Let's move on to the next one. Out of 33 workplace skills, EQ was the strongest predictor of success, accounting for 58% of a person's job performance. Now, the next two I think are interesting, and we don't really need a stat. We don't really need a number to be able to get to the bottom of this one, but the stat is there anyways. For this, I want for you to think about your own personal experience. And this one tells us employees who had managers with high EQ were 4 times less likely to leave than those with low EQ. So I want for you to think about your own experience as a professional. Think about your experience as a leader, your experience also being led. We all know that people do not leave organizations. They leave bad bosses. And that brings us to the next point. More than 70% of an employee's view of the organizational climate directly results from their manager's emotional intelligence. Again, the stat is there, the number is there. But for this one, I want for you to think about your own experience on this. We've all had a leader who micromanaged us. We all had a leader who was all about the number and the output and the performance, and who clearly was not invested in us as human beings. They were invested in what they can get out of us from a numbers perspective. We've all been there, some way, shape, or form. You're not there now, though. You're not there now, though. Just putting out that caveat. But we've all been there. We've all experienced that. Now, on the flip side, we've also had a leader who was engaged in our development, in our growth, who truly believed in us, who helped us seek out opportunities to be able to learn, grow, and become better versions of ourselves. And when they looked at us, we could tell that they truly were out for our best interests. And although performance was important, our experience was also important. They inspired us, they motivated us, they helped us see the strengths within ourselves that we didn't even know that we had. They helped us identify them, grow them, cultivate them, and maybe even move on in our careers. And so we know for sure that the leader that we have directly impacts our experience at work. And this is going to be connected also to organizational culture. When we talk about having a culture where people feel included, where people feel like they can truly do their best work and that they're appreciated not just for their output, but because we recognize their innate value as human beings. We know that that's what generates performance. There are countless studies that tell us that. And this is about how we can begin to pull all of those things together to make that more of a reality. We know now that inclusion, diversity is a huge part of the conversation, and yes, it absolutely should be. But how do we actually go about creating psychologically safe environments where people feel like they can bring their true selves forward no matter where they're from?